Welcome back to yet another episode of Practical and Prophetic. I'm your host, Learn with Tara. And listen, if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you stay for a long time. Hit that subscribe button. And for those of you who are coming back, hey y'all, how you doing? I missed y'all. Did you watch the last episode? Did you skip some stuff? Because if you did, go run it back. Listen, I'm ready to get right into this conversation. I have the honor of introducing my guest co-host, James Def Merritt.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming by today. So James Def Merritt, is that your social media handle or is that like what you go by?
That is the name that I go by moving forward through the rest of my life.
Okay.
Government name is James Owen Merritt
Okay.
the second, but Def is a part of my brand and a part of my backstory.
Okay. Let's get into that.
What part?
The deaf. What is that? What does that mean?
Don't ever accept failure. And that's exactly what it means. The story behind it, whenever I first got into DJing, it was actually, I took the name from someone that I was dating who was actually deaf. And so it was, how do I explain this? She was one of the top, dancers for LSU at the time, worked on, LSU Tiger Girls, and we parted ways. And so, but we always had this connection that music is more than just hearing it, it's a feeling too. And so that's how she was able to get through and be one of the best of the best, because you got to be top tier to even be on one of those dance teams.
Yeah.
And so for me, at that time, I was going through a little bit of a challenge, a rough part in life. And so at one point in a Motel 6, I came up with don't ever accept failure. And I've told myself that every single day. And I will tell myself that until the day that I stop breathing.
Don't ever accept failure in a Motel 6. I'm going to skip through the one of the highlights of your testimony because I think I read it on social media. Then we're going to double back into some other conversations.
Let's do it.
So you was in a Motel 6 at this particular time. You was like in a space, I guess, a transition, crossroad, a struggle. And then where are you now? Like what has changed in the sense of from that experience to where you are right now?
Well, I'm not homeless. So that's one. And the things that have changed is how I've grown as a man, as an entrepreneur, as a friend, as a person in Christ. Back then, I was lost, didn't really have any guidance. I just knew that I wanted to do something, but I didn't really know how I was going to do it. But going back then to the person that I really didn't know anything. I was very naive to a lot of the friends that were in my circle. I was very, I was gullible, at some points, but I was really I was lost. Like I didn't really have any guidance. I got out of church. I wasn't really speaking to my family, wasn't really doing the right thing in life. And so compared to now, I'm a lot more laid back. I'm not a city boy anymore.
You gave up your city boy ways.
I'm locked in now.
Come on, praise God.
But like I just like to live every day being happy and figuring out if there's a way to make myself better, make somebody else better. And like one of my good friends tells me, he's like, it's 1% a day. And so it's always about, making yourself better 1% a day.
That's good. What does that look like in a practical sense?
Whether like, let's just take like today, right? I woke up, wasn't really in the best mood. And so it's my wife, and shout out to her because she reminds me of making sure like, hey, get up, don't always start off, try and be positive, pray. Don't forget to pray. Before we ever get our day started, we always start off the day with praying before either one of us walk out the door. And we've got that down. So that's 1% for me.
So you said you're not homeless no more. So your living situation has changed. So you have a home.
Yep.
One.
I got a couple.
A couple. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So you went from Motel 6 to owning multiple homes. Okay.
And I want the Motel 6.
Oh, you coming for the Motel 6?
I'm coming for the Motel 6.
Come on. Praise God.
One way or another, I want that Motel 6.
So when you, like, this death really is something that you live by. Do not accept, what is it again?
Don't ever accept failure. Mm-hmm. I live by it. Mm-hmm. Like, that is my life. Mm-hmm. That is my mind. That is my brand. So it's trademarked. It's, publicly trademarked. I mean, I own it. Yeah. So no matter where I go, I don't care who uses it, as long as it can make somebody else, better, mm-hmm. improve. That's what matters to me. Okay. At first, it started off kind of being selfish. Now it's not about that anymore. It's
shifted. You've shifted the meaning for you behind it, mm-hmm. right? That's amazing. So what are you doing in your career right now?
Music and real estate. Okay. I like to keep it as simple as that because music changed my life. Mm-hmm. I started off as a DJ, didn't really know too much. And so, and actually I got my start at a college party. This mm-hmm. guy got drunk and I just, stepped up, and next thing you know, 2 days later, these couple of guys, they gave me an opportunity mm-hmm. To really do something with it. So I really took that opportunity serious. Mm-hmm. And when it was time for me to branch off and do my own thing, mm-hmm. That's whenever I started getting picked up by a lot of the sororities, mm-hmm. fraternities at LSU. That then turned into me getting signed to a local label. Mm-hmm. And then shortly thereafter that, I got picked up. I was the first Black LSU DJ for all the LSU athletics. Wow. So that's when I knew that it was more than just a bit like entertainment, like mm-hmm. meeting, drinks and girls and all of that stuff. That's when I knew this is a business. Mm-hmm. But over time, I always had a love for real estate. Mm-hmm. Grew up, building churches, working with my dad, working with my parents, people at the church, all of that. But over time, as I started to hit what I would call a peak at that time, that's whenever I was like, okay, I want to get into real estate. Mm-hmm. And so that's when the transition came. All right, I'm done with DJing, but now I want to do real estate. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it worked out.
What year was that when you transitioned to real estate?
April 23rd, 2016 was the day that my life completely changed.
Come on, you know the date.
Yeah. Wow. I know the time too.
You know what?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was around 3:30 in the morning.
What was that? Like, is that when you decided to go into it, or did you get some kind of documentation, certification?
That was the day that my life changed, and not only did I almost kill myself, but I almost killed 3 others. Never really publicly talked about it. So you're the first that I've actually on camera talked about this to, but right. I mean, what's real is real. Yeah. I was at a point in my life where nothing was going right, but I was DJing so much, like anything I wanted, it was right there at my foot. Mm-hmm. I could do that, but I didn't realize that I was burning myself out. And so one night, slipped up. I did a show that day. Went to Lafayette, Louisiana, did a show that night. Got on the road, fell asleep at the wheel, crashed and hit two cars. And almost killed myself and 3 other people. I'll never forget the guy's name. I'll never forget blacking out whenever the cops told me, he's like, it's about to get windy. And then the helicopter came down, picked the guy up, flew him off. And so 4 days later, I was told that he died. In my life, I was like, it's over. But after that, that's when I got a call from the police officer. He said, your life is going to change. The guy is okay. You're going to go and do great things. Just stay on the right track. And ever since then, that was my turning point.
Lord Jesus. You said the police officer said, you're going to do great things.
A cop told me that. Wow. Now, I don't have anything against, there's some bad apples out there. But for a cop in Baton Rouge to say something like that to me, that's not the same skin color as me, I think that spoke volume.
Of course.
And that was around the time when, that was like right during like the Alton Sterling situation.
So that was like the big pivotal moment. And the fact that God used that police officer to speak into your life, to speak into your destiny.
Oh, he definitely did. Yeah. And I wish that I could meet him now. Yeah. I haven't seen him since then. Wow. I haven't never seen him. Wow. But if I do, I would definitely remember his name or remember what he looked like.
Yeah. So what did life look like for you after that? Like, what was that turn What was that next turn?
That was when I realized, it's not your friends, it's your business. But, and a lot of the people that I thought I was friends with, they tried to, harm my business in many different ways. They thought that it was a joke. They thought that they made it a mockery. So that's whenever I began to start to isolate myself from a lot of people, from back home, people that I was working with in the clubs and all of that. So that's when it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I silently um, started to, study for my real estate license in Louisiana. And so by the time that I had it, then I got faced with more trials and tribulations. And so that's whenever my sister she passed away. And so like, it was like one thing after another, but I'll never forget. I had this when you have those out of body experiences. And so I'll never forget that I had this one out of body experience with like my whole DJ set. And I felt like she was just like right there on my shoulder. And that was my time whenever I was like, this is going to be one of my last shows. And I just quietly removed myself from the club scene in Baton Rouge, packed all my stuff up, and I moved to Dallas.
Something that just really like peaks in my mind is that you said there were two major turns that you took in your life, and both of them were silent. Sometimes in some seasons, change is silent.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
And that may not apply to every single circumstance or situation, but real change, it just happens. It doesn't even have to really be spoken about. And I could think of like other things this could apply to, like even in relationships, when somebody say they're going to change for the better, or somebody say, oh, I want to do this, or I'm going to do better. Sometimes like the indicator that change is near, or change is something that is desired, is just doing it.
Yeah. Because change is so important in anybody's life, and I mean in business and life, whatever it is that you're doing, like you have to change. You can't stay with what's going on, the current. Like you always got to be prepared, because like let's take being homeless for example. Like, you think I wanted to stay in that situation? No, like I had to change. I mean, I didn't want to lose, I didn't want to almost kill two people, but it happened. So I had to change. Didn't want my sister to die, but what happened? She died. So I feel that I could change. I feel like that was a pivotal moment for me, because I got into a car accident. I survived. And then a few months later, she gets into a car accident and she loses her life. And so that was like, this is what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, this is your time to make sure that you get into a position to take care of your family, make sure that they straight, and show every single person that's ever doubted you that you aren't the person that they think you're going to end up to be.
And it wasn't too late for you.
Never too late. Even still to this day, it's never too late. I don't think it's ever too late for anyone.
I agree. Absolutely. So going into today, like what you do today, I want to just kind of talk about a little bit. Like, I follow you and you post like all these amazing motivational posts, like on social media. So you're a husband. Do you have kids?
No kids.
Okay.
I got 2 dogs.
Okay. So
those are my sons.
Yeah. You and your wife.
Bo and Saint.
Yes. Dog parents, puppy parents. You have real estate. You're in the real estate industry. You still, you're in the music industry. You have a radio show. Top, right?
Number
one radio show.
Number one.
Baton Rouge.
That's right.
And then you're on social media, like motivating, impacting, inspiring. Where did that come from? Where did that piece come from in the midst of like you pursuing all of the things that, you've been able to do and have this success for yourself? Where did that piece come from where you felt compelled to like, well, let me do something else to impact somebody else?
That came from after I moved to Dallas, actually. Because like I said, I was a DJ at heart, and I was an even deeper city boy at the time. So it's, and I mean, that's just being real. But, I met someone that brought me to Dallas.
Mm.
It didn't work out.
Mhm.
And she's, got nothing but respect for her and wish her
Mhm.
nothing but the best. But she went her way.
Mhm.
And I was stuck here in Dallas trying to figure out what are you gonna do.
Mhm.
And so there was a dark time in my life right after my birthday
Mhm.
that it was just me, my dog, and four walls.
Mm.
Isolated myself again, had thoughts of suicide, thought that I wasn't worth anything. And honestly, like I almost followed through with it. Like I was like, nobody's gonna miss me. Like
Mm.
everything that I have, it doesn't even mean nothing. So I was that close.
Mm.
But that was also during a time where I was like, okay, I'm cutting off everything that I've ever done over the last 6, 7 years, cutting it all out of my life. And that's whenever I picked up a pen and a pad, I just started journaling.
Mm.
And so journaling turned into, I didn't realize that it was written prayer. And then the written prayer turned into, now I'm talking to God.
Mhm.
And so, but then that's how it all started to develop for me. But everything that you see now is like, even with like Bible verses that I may post.
Mhm.
I post those, like I didn't even realize I was just posting them for myself
Mhm.
at first, but then other people started to reach out and was like, "Man, I felt that,"
Mhm.
and I was like, Well, yeah, I feel it too." But
Mhm.
I was looking at it like I'm posting something because of what I may be feeling
Mhm.
right now in this moment.
Mhm.
So like if I post something like this morning, Luke 21, do not be deceived. And, because there's many people that will come that look like me.
Mm.
And I'm dealing with that right now.
Mm.
So that's why I posted it. But I'll get a comment from somebody. It's like, man, like I feel that because I'm experiencing the same thing. So
Mhm.
that's whenever it came to my mind, like, oh, I'm not only going through this alone.
Yeah.
Other people are going through it too,
Mhm.
but also trying to figure out how to remain myself and also be authentic because
Mhm.
I'm playful. Like I like to play around. I like to
Mhm.
joke. I can still be ratchet, but I love God to death. But
Facts.
that's how it is.
Yeah.
But I had to figure out how to unapologetically be me.
Come on. That is really good. Man, I want to unpack some pieces of that. But first I want to ask you, so how did you, man, I feel like if I ask this right now, it's skipping a whole piece.
Oh, have at it.
Okay.
Have at it.
Um you said you had to figure out how to unapologetically be yourself. Do you think that that is something that you're still like in the process of cultivating or navigating? Because for me, I feel like I'm learning that every day. I'm way more unapologetically me than I was last year, the previous year, 6 months, 5 years ago. But I
Yeah.
still feel like every season, I'm unbecoming and becoming in
Yeah.
Christ within myself. Do you feel the same?
Every single day.
Hmm.
Every single day. Like I feel like I'm always becoming something different.
Yeah.
Because and even in this time, like I always still feel like, how do I in the entertainment world, like
Hmm.
there's a difference between the real estate world in my mind,
Hmm.
because the ways that you may talk in that world,
Mhm.
it's I love you, we got some choice words, it's still that type of corporate. But
Mhm.
then bouncing over to like a real estate, like it's the different type of conversation.
Mhm.
And so trying to find a good median of how to speak
Mm.
amongst the two, but still remaining myself. And I mean that, and I like to show that in my posts too. It's
Mhm.
like, um, just try, like you say, unapologetically you. It's
Mhm.
like, some people they may want to, sit there and look like everything is all peaches and apples, whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. Me, like I don't know, it ain't always that. Like
Facts.
it's not. Like, I mean, I might be ticked off one day I might be happy. Like I'll
Mhm.
go through the same struggles, but people put this perception out there in life that
Mhm.
everything perfect when it's not.
Oh my God. Lord Jesus, you said a whole word. And I think it's not just because at first I was gonna say, I talk about this a lot when it comes to like ministry leadership, but this is just people in general.
Yeah.
This is like you don't even have to be an influencer to try to like project that. And I think that it really is important to have the representation of authenticity.
Hmm.
Just as it's important to like have representation in spaces like in workspaces or church spaces or whatever that is. I
Right.
think the representation of authenticity is so necessary. And that's to say, like anybody out there, if you're struggling, like to find like to be you, that's literally your sign to just be you.
Yeah.
Like don't, because you don't have to struggle to be you. And that's something that the Lord revealed to me.
Right.
You don't have, because when you're struggling, you're adding things, you faking it, or it's not even faking it from a place of trying to deceive somebody, but you're trying to be what you're not.
Right.
But
My
be
dad,
you. Yeah.
my dad told me something one day because, and this was whenever I was a child. He said, you know, you're out here trying to impress so many different people that don't really care,
Ooh.
and it hit me different because I
That
was
hit
like,
different.
dang, like,
Hit
but
different.
he
Hit
was
different.
right.
Yes.
And when he told me that, he's like, son, like you got to understand the same people that are sitting there like trying to say all of these things about you, most of them don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of.
Where your daddy from?
Yeah, no,
Where's he from? Where
Georgia.
Okay, that's southern. That
The South.
that colloquialism right there. You only know what that is if you're from the South.
When he told me that, I was like, you got a point. But that's when things starts to change for you. It's like you just got to be you.
Man, that's really good. So going into like so your other transition, which is you're a married man.
Married man.
Right? Which is amazing. And you said like, when you came to Dallas, you came because of a relationship that thing broke off. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, where were you when you met in your life, like in your headspace when you met your wife, and how did y'all go from like that point to where you are now?
So it's funny how, like, and I love telling this story, and she's probably when she sees this, she's gonna be like, here he go again. But she shot her shot. She shot her shot. I'm saying she shot her shot.
Do you, sis? Is it time for you to come to the podcast?
Yeah, bring her on.
Okay,
She'll confirm.
She'll confirm.
She'll confirm. But no, anyway, like we met on Instagram, and it's crazy. Like social media works in many different ways, not just business. But she saw a post that somebody else put out there, and then she came to my page. I said something about sending these 3 texts to the special person in your life. I was actually talking about my mom. She didn't really realize that. Oh, she had actually shot her shot in my comments talking about, I did text back. And so what do? Like, I mean, I'm a guy. Like, she's cute. All right, you gonna text back? All right, I'm going into the DM. So she shot her shot. I shot back. And she hadn't got rid of me since.
Wow. Okay, that's super dope.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you guys been together?
We have been married 1.5 years. I think we're going on like 4 years. So I'm just call it 4.
4.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yes. That's
so
awesome.
many to count.
So what was the difference between her and any other experience that you had with any other woman?
My first time ever meeting her, I was super nervous. So our first date was at Flower Child. And what really stood out the most is that I was getting ready to eat, and she said, before we do anything, we're praying. That was the first thing that really stood out to me, is that she was a woman of God. And so knowing my background and then now knowing hers, so like she is definitely, she's the person behind me, through thick and thin, no matter what.
Yeah. Okay. And so that was that date 1. When is it that you felt like or knew that this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life? Like, what was the timeline like? And where were you guys at in your relationship as far as the building phase?
We were probably about, I would say, 1.5 years in.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, some people it takes a longer time. Some people it takes a shorter amount, but that's what it did for me. But I would say about 1.5 years in, and then we had some kind of conversation, but she made a comment about like, I'm not walking in front of you. I'm not walking behind you. I'm walking beside you.
Come on.
And when she told me that, you know how men like to be, big old macho, and it's like, I just kind of curled up and was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I like this. But that's when it happened. Okay. That's when I knew.
That's awesome. And so do you guys like work together in the sense of anything that you do right now, is like as far as real estate, as far as like music, ministry standpoint, or is it like, nah, we work together in the fact that look, that's my wife, and you know what I'm saying, from a personal standpoint?
So she's an entrepreneur herself. She's a beast at everything she does.
Okay.
She is Emmy nominated for set design.
Come on.
Um, check. she's
You better
she,
plug
oh
her.
yeah, I'm always gonna plug her in.
Yeah.
So she's Emmy nominated for set design.
Awesome.
She has her own interior decorating business.
Wow.
She works for a nonprofit teaching and going around to different schools teaching and educating
Hmm.
kids about mental health.
Mm.
She is, she's a boss.
Yeah.
Like, so she's
That's
got her
amazing.
own thing. I got my own thing. And, we're working on developing some things together as soon as she can get me in line.
You know what though? What your lived experience reminds me of something I read out of a book a long time ago about relationships. There was a pastor who wrote, um, like marriage is not like entirely about two people coming together and you know losing yourself in a sense.
Mhm.
It's about this person exists in this world, that person exists in this world, and you come together and you create a third.
Yeah.
That was a powerful analogy.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you don't, and that's exactly you guys' live experience.
Yeah.
It's like you have this, your purpose that God has given you. She has her purpose that God has given her, and you guys coming together doesn't mean that you have to forfeit that. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because I have talked to different men and I've also talked to a lot of women about a lot of stuff because of like menting, and even just some personal experiences in my life where people feel like, I can't be in a relationship because that's going to distract me from this. Um, I can't be in a relationship because I'm not going to be able to fulfill. But I feel like, you know, the only time a relationship will send you into a distraction is if it wasn't sent by God,
Right.
because you guys are living proof that you can still, you in fact you probably grow at a faster peak, but you still have what it is that God has ordained or set for you, and you bring, come together in unity, and like you said, you guys are working on creating things you can do together. Can you chime in on that?
That's a good question. Because where I was in my life,
Hmm.
before I met her, I didn't think I was ever gonna get married. But where we are now, like the person that I used to be, I used to
Hmm.
be scared to talk to her about it.
Hmm.
Because I didn't want her to get to start prejudging, like,
Hmm.
oh, well, this is how you used to be, so I don't
Hmm.
really know if I can mess with that. But it took a lot of deep and hard conversations, because it's crazy, because she likes having hard conversations.
Hmm.
And me on the other end, I can't stand them.
Hmm.
Unless it's something talking about business,
Hmm.
like, no problem. Personal, nah, sometimes it's a little bit deep.
Hmm.
But it was her that tried to get me to open up, like, look, remember, I'm here beside you. I'm not in front or behind you. But really opening up open up about my past, open up about things that I've gone through, and hearing her story as well, but also understanding, like, this is who we are, but this is what made us,
Hmm.
but this is what we're going to develop together.
Hmm.
And we want to build something, a legacy, not only for ourselves, but I say my dogs right now, but of course, children,
Hmm.
and our generation, to come for 10 lifetimes, if you ask me.
And that amazing result came from what you said, a hard conversation.
Hmm.
And right now in today's culture is so many podcasts and so many people and so many voices that talk down on confrontational or hard conversations, not even realizing that those hard conversations actually lead people to the path of ease.
Exactly.
It's just all in perspective. Confrontation, like in my opinion, isn't always about like arguing. It doesn't have to be. It don't have to be an argument. But a hard conversation is necessary. Like it's even instances in the Bible where people are having hard conversations that lead to good results. So, what are your thoughts on that? Not just even just from you on your personal experience with
Hmm.
that, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think people are scared to have hard conversations for many reasons, because they want life to seem like it's perfect. I mean, men, some men out there, they want to make it look like everything is perfect. I got money, I got cars, I'm out in the club, I'm doing this, this, and this. But really, in the back end, like, you're you're hurt, like, you're
Hmm.
going through a lot of pain. And I feel like for me, I think it's important to, especially if it's like one of my friends,
Mm-hmm.
like it's important for me to sit there and be like, yo, are you good? Like really figure out, listen to them, to have a hard conversation, because I have friends in my life that will do the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, my best friend will tell me that I'm being stupid, and like, and no, have no hard feelings about it. He will tell me, he'll check me before anyone. But I might not like it. But I mean, I know that he's right. And so I feel like that's the need to have those hard conversations with other people. It's like, yo, like you out here spending your rent money, but and you ain't got no job. Like, or like have those conversations. Like, don't, it's all like everywhere, everything is always pretentious.
Mm-hmm.
And people want to live a life of, luxury and being extravagant. It's like, you ain't got to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you really don't. Have those hard conversations with yourself first before you have those hard conversations with anyone. Because even in my experience, I had to have a deep conversation with myself before I was ever ready to get married,
Mm.
because I was scared of it. And I didn't think that I was ready for it,
Why were you afraid of marriage?
because I didn't know what it would feel like being tied down to one woman, or I didn't know if that was what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you it's like Andre 3000 says, it's like, don't do it, reconsider. But it's like, I went through like, but I was like, I don't know if is this the spirit, or is this something else. But it's like that was how I thought. But like at the end of the day, like, you know I just said, like, this is what I want. Like, I'm not doing this for my friends. I'm not doing this for the gram. I'm not doing this for to look like everything's perfect, because our marriage is not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we got problems,
Mm-hmm.
but we walk through them
Mm-hmm.
together. Like, I'm not gonna walk in front of her. Like, we gonna figure it out together.
Mm.
So, I mean, hard conversations is how you sit there and grow. Like, that's how you sit there and improve your life, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's financial, whether it's dealing with the HR, or dealing with, the boyfriend, or any the
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend, whoever it is. Like, have those hard conversations, because we live in a generation now where people are so quick to go on to the next thing, thinking that
Mm.
the grass is greener, but really it's not even, it's concrete. Ain't
Mm.
nothing growing from it
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Mm-hmm. So what is in a sense says is we gotta water our own.
You got to.
It might look like it's withering, but if we start watering and taking care of and trimming it, then it'll be beautiful.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to, because I mean, even like I said, whenever I first started putting, pen to paper and journaling,
Mm-hmm.
like I never thought for one day that it would turn into what it is now.
Yeah.
Like, it's writing for myself, and literally writing prayer, but then I was also asking for things and not doing the work. But then
Ho. We can't skate by that because that's good. You said you realized you was asking for things and not doing the work. What
Mhm.
does that mean?
I was asking at the time, like, and when I first started, like, I was at, please take me back. Please be with me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
please don't let this go down. Like, why does it, like, all of that? But then it was like, no, like, why don't I put the work into myself?
Mm.
Like, please improve how I am as a man. Please improve my faith. Like, get me stronger with my faith. Make me a better, businessman. Make me a better realtor. Make me a better, DJ. All of that. And I,
So what you're saying, real quick, just so I can clarify, you're talking about this is pre-marriage when you were going through like relational issues and you were obviously somebody like decided, hey,
mhm,
I'm gonna just go a different direction.
yeah,
You're saying that instead of you shifted your prayers and your desire from like, Lord, please put this thing back together and please restore this and all that stuff to let me pray for me and
yeah,
let me become a better me
yeah.
instead of praying those prayers. And actually, God led you like it wasn't apparently His will to restore that, but He restored you in the midst of that rejection, and then boom, you go and now you're in a wholesome, happy, healthy relationship. Obviously, like you said, everybody got problems, but it's wholesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. If I hadn't have did what I did back then, I wouldn't have been able to, and I'm gonna speed through this. If I hadn't have did the work back then, then I never would have got a call to go on a tour, go and do 150 shows in 3 months,
Mm.
25 countries, 7 plaques, gold, platinum.
Whoa.
I wouldn't have the number one radio show on in Baton Rouge,
Mm.
night show. I would not be blessed to meet people all over the world. I wouldn't be able to help people purchase homes. I wouldn't be
Mm.
able to sit here and go home to my wife
Mm.
and my crazy dogs that get on
Mhm.
my nerves, but I love them to death. I wouldn't be able to do any of those things if I
Mhm.
had not listened to myself, listened to my best friend, and understand that I am more than what I think I am.
Good God Almighty. I'm not gonna cry because I'm trying to keep the little bit of makeup on that I do have on until the end of the show. But wow, that is so powerful. I feel God all over that. Um, what I admire about your story and about your journey and you as a brother in Christ is the tenacity you had and the fact that you each time what I'm hearing is like you came into a situation, a circumstance, you made a decision within yourself. You know what? I gotta do something about this. And that something is not like, going fast.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that thing? Going nowhere fast.
Hmm.
Where you just do randomly like do things as a cover up or a coping mechanism. You actually took the time to sit and assess everything around you and everything in you and strategize, pray, strategize. And every single time you've gone forward and you've been victorious. To that point, there is no victory without war. And this is
Hmm.
what I tell myself
Oh yeah.
because sometimes you feel like, gosh, if it's not one, it's another. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Because there's no victory without war.
Yeah.
You don't even need victory if there's no war. And like from a biblical standpoint, God, he teaches us and he says to us like we have to armor ourselves and equip ourselves. And part of that is, like you said, doing the work, getting to a place where you're changing your prayers to become the best version of yourself. And then look, God elevated you like rapidly, like from
Hmm.
Motel 6 to owning multiple houses,
Yeah.
to like you said, being, having the number one radio show in Baton Rouge, to doing all of the admirable things like working with the Globetrotters, having your beautiful wife and your dogs, and you guys are creating legacy. That all came from that broken space, and you deciding that, you know what, I'm not gonna stay broken.
Mm-mm. And I ain't gonna stay broke. But like, but like, my dad. He was a preacher, and so I'm a preacher's son. Like I'm the youngest of 16, 16 girls and one brother. But one thing that
Mm,
he always told us was, no matter where you go in life, no matter what you do, always put God first.
mhm,
And I don't care what it is. I'm always gonna put God first. I end my prayers and always put God first. Like I do, I write even in all. That's always the last thing that I put down,
mhm,
because if you don't, then you're always gonna be lost.
mm,
And I know that this isn't the end for me.
mhm,
I don't care about, Yes, I'm super grateful for everything that I've accomplished,
mhm.
but I still know that I don't want to lead off with all of that, like,
Yeah,
because I want people to know me for me.
yeah.
Because people are quick to go online and think like, oh, okay, like like I,
Mhm,
I get tried all the time,
mm,
like whether it's by a female that
mm,
think that they gonna have a shot, but no, you never,
mhm,
or if it's somebody trying to get their song broken or
mhm,
how can you connect me with this or that,
mhm,
and it's like it comes a point in your life where it's like, I'm not even worried about that. Like, I
mhm,
mean, hi, how are you? My name's James.
mhm,
What do you do?
mhm,
Like, introduce yourself first. Let's
mhm,
get to know each other first before you
mhm,
start seeing all of these other things,
mhm,
because you see the glitz and glamour, but you don't really see what I've gone through.
mhm. That's exactly why, part of the reason why I created this podcast. And I can't even say I created it because God gave it to me.
Mm,
And to be able to have conversations like this, to really, bring people from all walks of life, right? From all different backgrounds, from all different experiences, and amplify their voice and also get to the core of who they are.
yeah.
Which is and anyway, so I definitely get that and I understand exactly what you mean. One of the other things I noticed and I really want to highlight and I like about your story is you said your dad was a pastor.
Hmm.
Um you didn't feel compelled to have to go down that same path. And just because that was his assignment, that is his assignment, doesn't mean that yours is any less because you're not behind a pulpit.
Yeah.
And like just sitting here talking to you and hearing like your story and what you're doing, I feel the power of God as if I'm sitting in a church pew listening to a whole preach message. And I point that out because I just want the person behind this camera who feels like you gotta launch a ministry in a formal sense. You gotta be behind somebody's pulpit. You gotta start a prayer line. God needs representation everywhere. And that's going to be in entertainment like this man of God. That's going to be in showing up as the man of God in your relationship, in your marriage. That is very much purposeful. And same for your wife with you. In real estate. So don't try to aspire to be like someone or feel pressured even by someone else's path that you might be connected to. Just know, like, sometimes you don't have to have a platform. You really don't have to have a platform. You just got to walk in purpose. And so I just want to empower somebody today who might feel like you're struggling between, two places, deciding like, should you do this or that? Allow God to lead you and know that if God is calling you to the marketplace, or if he's calling you to entertainment, if he's calling you to law, politics, if he's calling you to the food and beverage industry, whatever it is, that is very purposeful, it is very necessary, and own that.
100%.
Yeah.
I feel that so much because when I am a preacher's son, but I'm not in the pulpit. Like I feel like I'm for the streets and not like that, but
Mhm.
like that's what I connect with.
Mhm.
Like I'm not no, I wasn't raised in poverty or nothing like that, but I can still connect with people that are going through hard times.
Mhm.
But it's my purpose to sit there and show people like, yes, these are the things that I've gone through. These are the things that I went through in high school. Like, I mean, I was, called every racist name in the book. Like,
Mm.
I was told I wasn't gonna be nothing. I was told every single thing that I was set up to fail. I would
Mm.
be either dead or in jail
Mm.
at this point. And in the beginning, I lived a life of revenge, nothing but revenge. But then over time, when I knew that I was making an impact, is when I then let go of the revenge, and then that's whenever the schools and all of the people from back home started calling me to come and speak to their kids.
Mm.
And so my way of ministry is not behind a pulpit, although that was what my dad did. And unfortunately, he passed away about a year and a half ago.
Mm.
But this necklace right here is him.
Mm.
Like those are, it's got his ashes in here, and so I carry him with me every single place that I go. I don't leave home without it. That one in my ring,
Mm.
neither one of those two. But it's important to know that just because no matter what level of life you in or whatever, how high you are, how much money you got, none of that even matters because you put your pants on the same way that I do.
Mhm.
And I mean, and it's as simple as that. Give
Period.
people respect. Always humble yourself. Always know that what's given can be taken away.
Mhm.
And it can be gone in just a blink of an eye. There's been
Mhm.
so many times where I've come across people that you humble in the beginning, and then whenever you get it, you
Mhm.
lose track of that, and then you lose it. And then next thing you know, you're starting all over again. And
Mhm.
I know that because I've also been that same person.
Mm. Wow. I can't even come behind it. I can't even come behind it and say anything. This was like super powerful. You guys, I'm really interested to hear your feedback and your thought down in the comments. Let me know what you think because the pour is pouring. And I really appreciate you for coming and showing up, taking time out of your day to come here on this podcast. And we've already like tagged your social media. Is there anything else that we can do like to find you, to follow you, to support you, or learn more?
Social media is really the easiest place to catch
Okay.
me. I mean, James Duff Merritt. The my biggest mantra and my message is don't ever accept failure. I live by it, I stand by it, and I always hope that you can do the same
Hmm.
because that's all it's about. You gonna fail, you gonna cry, you gonna go through hard times, But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Accept it for what it is and keep it pushing, because that's not going to be your last failure. So don't ever accept failure.
Wow. Praise God. Don't ever accept failure. Well, you guys, that